It's an amazing morning in the city of Brownsville. You can only see half of me today. But the only reason you can see half of me today is because we got a special guest with us today. Liz
Where's
Valdez.
the camera?
Liz Garza. Liz Garza Valdez or just
Garza.
Liz? Ah, crap. I always do that crap. Liz Garza is a candidate. Wait a minute, there I am. A candidate running for JP in the runoff.
Where's the camera?
It's right there.
Hey,
So
everybody.
many devices.
Good morning.
I know, this is insane. Like, he's like for real in here.
It's kind of trippy, but the way that everything happened was we're going to have coffee this morning, and of course, Starbucks screwed it up like they always do for everyone. And it's just part of the problem, even with two Starbucks, well, three Starbucks, four.
Actually, they're renovating the one in Morrison and the one in Target.
Oh,
so that's why they go into.
So the Target, that's why everyone's going to Ruben Torres.
So I usually do 7th and Park because it's like right around the corner. It's local. It's good. But this morning, as you know, I forgot my glasses. And so I live towards that area. And I thought, I'll pre-order and, won't be that big of a deal. And I get there. The line's crazy. But I'm like, I'm not going to do drive-thru. I'm just going to go get my coffee that should be already on the counter. And it is insane in there. And I'm like, so we ended up drinking
Erasmo coffee.
which is actually better than Starbucks.
Community coffee.
And it's a cuter cup too. Check it out.
So let's, how's the race going for JP?
Man, you know this better than anybody, and you've done this before, and it is
Too many times.
it is insane. Running a campaign while you're running a business, or even just the campaign alone, it's a lot. It takes a lot of courage for people to really put themselves out there. It's a lot of sacrifice of your time, your business, your family. It's difficult, but we do it because we have a purpose. We feel that we have a purpose to serve our community in a greater sense that we can just individually. So that's what motivates us, but it's going good. It's hard. It's hard work. We're working all the time in between running a business and being a single mom, but I feel good. There's nothing I'm leaving on the table. Like, I'm putting it all out there. So at the end of the day, win or lose, I'm going to feel good about it because we gave it our all. So,
well, one of the things about Liz Garza, which I can assimilate and I understand, is that there's always that faction, and I always mention it, it's something new. There's always that group of that clica out there that wants to dominate every single race, and they're out there united in their fight. And then there's a lot of us out there that we run on our own resources. We run out on our own time. We have a business to run. We have to support family members, except me, because I live in the basement of my parents' house. But we're not part of that clique. We're not part of that little group that controls the elections out here. And más que nada, I think that individuals need to have a choice and need to have options out there available to them and say, you know what? Yeah, we're tired of doing the same thing over and over and over again. And then every single time elections come along, expecting a different result.
Yeah. What do they say that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result?
Yeah.
So it's tough. I think it is tough. I mean, I wasn't born in Cameron County. I was born in Harris County, but I've been living here since I was in elementary school. And growing up and enjoying this political arena is really humbling. I'm learning so much of what politics is, and I'm assuming it's the same everywhere. But it's definitely a learning experience, and you do sometimes feel that you could be out of the loop in the sense of the group that's supporting each other, but it's okay. I think that we need to not be afraid or intimidated by that, and just, if you feel that you want to serve your community in a capacity, then you got to do it despite of what the norm is or what everyone's used to, and to put yourself out there. I think having choices is, you hit the nail on the head. in an election process, it's always amazing to have a choice, and the choice belongs to the people. So at the end of this, if I lose, it was the choice of the people. So if the people don't go on and vote, and people are complaining that it's the same individuals that always are elected, then that's up to the people to change it. And
Yeah.
so
La culpa la tiene la gente que los hace compadres. But let me see. One of the things that I know about Liz, she is always out there fighting for for the community. Let me say, and I'm going to say this, and Liz and I did not plan to talk about this, but one of the things that Liz was
obviously I'm wearing a bun today.
That's amazing.
Everyone's gonna kill me. Because they're like, you have to look like your picture. Because like I have 2 kids, and I'm like, sometimes I have cord really.
That's why I was searching you right now.
And and so this is like when I'm in a rush in the morning, and I want my kids to get to school on time. Do the bunny, or I have to federal court, and I have to be there, and I don't want the marshals to come get me. Do the bunny, vámonos. But they're like, you got to be wearing your hair down, because that's how your posters show, and that's how people can relate to you. And so I come just to have coffee, and this one's like, you want to do a live? And I'm like, no, I'm already here, but I'm not like completely like. I was like, oh well, at least I'm wearing sun makeup, so I'm gonna get it really bad from my campaign people. Like, seriously.
One of the things that we learned not to mention, you never mention your opponent. You always mention what you bring to the table, and I think that's one of the los consejos que se me dio temprano on in the multiple races that I always run.
You know what? They told me the same thing, and honestly, I don't care. I always tell them, because when they see the ballot and they're gonna see names, I want them to know. Someone told me that you never put their name, or you block out their name. Like, no. Like when I sent out my mail out, and at the time at the primaries, I had 2 other opponents. And on the mail out, people were telling me, but you got to blur out your opponents' names. And I'm like, why? Like, that's the whole point. I want them to know who my opponents are, and I want them to know what their qualifications are versus mine. Well, so I never have an issue. But yeah, that's like a rule of the trade. Like, don't mention your opponent.
Yeah, it's just considered like free publicity for them,
I guess. I don't.
Well, since you mentioned qualifications, let me say one of the things that I know for a fact. Liz is a practicing attorney here in the city of Brownsville, and again, I've known Liz to be a fighter. One of the causes that she was very adamant about before going into the law practice was she was out there fighting for our school district to start installing air conditioning or some type of fresh things inside the gyms. Mm-hmm. And I was going, Liz, I agree with you. That's something that we need. And I mentioned that because you have to be an advocate for all realms, not only the ones that you specialize in, but you are a practicing attorney here and a pretty damn good one too. I know for a fact.
They say that.
Todos dicen.
Who am I to argue? No, I mean, I think you become good at something when you've been doing it a long time. So I've been an attorney now. In May will be 14 years. It's insane.
As long as I've been alive.
Casi 14 years. Prior to that, I was a high school teacher, but I only did that 1 year. So God bless you, teachers. My sister is an educator, and God bless you guys. I don't know. It takes a very special person to remain in the education system. Not so much of the kids, but again, the policies and the parents behind it. The parents know, but. So yeah, being an attorney and practicing for 14 years and actually being in the courtroom every day, well, yeah, you just get good at what you do.
Yeah.
So
14 years of being an attorney, how is that going to help you in being our next Cameron County Justice of the Peace?
So the big issue with a Justice of the Peace is that by law, you do not have to be an attorney. And it's the only judicial court where you don't have to be an attorney to be the judge or the justice of the peace. That's why they're not called judge, right? It's justice. But the Supreme Courts are also justices. It's an antiquated law. It was developed in the 1800s when Texas was being established. And, Texas is huge and there were no cars. And so you needed in these little towns, you needed someone to be able to pass law and order. And so that's how the Justice of the Peace was created and put into the Texas Constitution. So over the years, it's become known as the People's Court because people will go in there and kind of settle, this is what's happening, and the Justice of the Peace will help them settle their claims. But of course, now we are in 2022 and things have changed and we have technology and we have vehicles and we have everything that we need, but the law never changed. So you do not have to be a lawyer to be a justice of the peace. However, the jurisdictional limits in that court have grown. What is that? Well, if I want to submit a lawsuit, if it's $20,000 or less, I can take it to the justice of the peace court as of September of last year. Before that, it was $10,000 or less. So as you can see, it's growing and the responsibilities are growing. And these are real legal issues that are being brought before this court. So as an attorney that has practiced in the Justice of the Peace Court, who has practiced in county courts at law, in district courts, in federal court, in immigration court, I have the experience. I know what it is. I may not be on the bench making the decision, but I made the legal arguments. I know where to go find the statutes. I know what is the difference between statutory law and case law that I can go and refer to make the right decision, because these are real issues being brought before the court. And a lot of these people come without an attorney, and some of their opponents have attorneys. So I think it's good to have someone that is knowledgeable, that can look at both sides and not give an advantage to someone that comes with an attorney to take advantage of the community that's there without one. I can help guide them, not be their representative counsel, but make sure that things are fair. So I think that's really important. I'm also a mediator. So a mediator, attorneys come to me and they're fighting their cases and they're representing their clients. And before they go to the judge or a jury, they come to me, for example, and I help them navigate their issues and help them come to an agreement. And I think that's basically what I'm going to be doing in the Justice of the Peace Court, listening to issues and rendering a solution or to what's going on. So I think experience really does matter in anything that you do.
Well, one of the things that you mentioned, your expertise throughout the whole realm of attorneyship, if that's even a word. But that's important.
We'll make it one now.
We added.
Yes, add it to Webster's.
To Brownsville Dictionary.
We'll add it to Wikipedia.
No, but that's important because of the demographics of the community that we serve. The community that we serve, we do have a lot of individuals here. You mentioned immigration who are non-documented or are in the process of documentation. What better justice of the peace out there hearing cases from individuals when they know the background and the struggle, because it's not easy for a lot of people living in this area, in this country, without the proper legal documentation out there. And even a lot of people are afraid, to even go to a JP court or any type of court because of their situation. So I feel that all this brings about a well-rounded individual who could actually be there and support and understand the community, which I think is very important. Unfortunately for us, we have individuals that are running out there, who are part of that elitist little group out there who have no clear understanding of what it is to have a child inside a gym without any air conditioning, or the struggles that individuals have in regards to getting to the United States, trying to fix their papers and everything else. But let me say, in regards to a lot of the cases that Justice of the Peace sees, is that I think it's important to have that back knowledge in regards to the corporate world as well, in regards to the documentation that needs to be submitted for individuals who are interested in.
So they also have what's called exclusive jurisdiction, like any lawsuit that has to do with landlord-tenant issues or evictions has to come through the Justice of the Peace Court. So again, that's very important to have someone that's going to be very familiar with the processes and the actual process and legal steps that you need to take to evict somebody, so that we make sure that those that are struggling are not wrongfully evicted from their homes. And at the same time, as the one that is the lessor who's renting the place, we want to make sure that they're not taken advantage of by people just not paying their rent. So, but again, it's very important. I agree. I think that when you can connect with the community, you can better understand their struggles and what they're going through. So trust me, I've known those struggles. I've slept in that tent. I've eaten the tortillas with beans for dinner, and you're like, oh yeah, we're having tortillas and beans. And my parents like, why do you always tell that story of our struggles? I was like, because it made me who I am. And it might be, I didn't realize growing up that I was poor. because we were so loved. We had everything that we
All the
needed.
blessings.
And so I tell my mom and my dad, you should not be embarrassed because you gave us everything. I share those stories because it's to tell the kids that are still growing up with those struggles that where you grow up or how you grow up, whether poor or rich, it doesn't matter. You're going to define who you want to be and what you want to do in your life. And as long as you're loved, you're not abused, you're taken care of, you got it made. So everything else comes secondary. And so I told my mom, you should be proud because my parents are immigrants and they busted their butts to really raise us right and make sure that we had everything that we needed. And we were the first in our families to graduate and go get a postgraduate degree because I'm an attorney. My sister has a master's degree and she is an assistant principal at a school district. And my brother is an engineer with dyslexia. He struggled, but he did it. So, all the kids out there, where your circumstances don't define you, you can do anything you want. It's hard, but you can do it.
But it makes you sensitive to the needs of the people that are in that
Amen.
position.
Yes.
So it makes you compassionate. So
I've been there.
That's why you're a good candidate.
I've been there. I'm there right now. Don't think I live in a mansion. We struggle. I have a business. I have employees. Sometimes you don't have a flow of income all the time. The income can depend and the bills keep on coming, like y'all know. So I'm not flying first class anywhere. Don't even think that. I can relate. This is my community. This is where I grew up. And I totally know the struggles that we face here every day.
Yeah, sometimes they don't. People don't understand like the position of where they're at because they haven't seen the journey through it.
Yes. And how can you relate?
Yeah.
So, and when we talk about this as the people's court, well, okay, yeah. So, and majority of the people here, you got to be able to relate to the struggle that they went through and there's no other way to really do that unless you've actually struggled yourself.
Well, let me say one of the things that I've always mentioned, because we do mention every 4 years, nothing changes. What are we going to expect from Liz Garza as Justice of the Peace during her 4-year tenure in regards to being out there with the community?
So, and this is something that I struggle with because if you go back, sometimes I'll put stuff on social media of things that I've done. And like I said, because I think how I was brought up, I just really learned through faith and experiences that if you are blessed, you have to be a blessing on others.
Oh, yeah.
And so I've always done that without even before social media. And with social media, sometimes I'll share not to gloat. And you know this. And the reason is because the Bible said if you do something, you do it out of the goodness on your heart. You don't publish it in expectations of something in return.
Amen to that.
So I struggle with sharing it sometimes, but sometimes I say I'm going to share it not because to gloat or to put it out there, but maybe so someone else can say, hey, that's something I can do too. And so once in a while I'll put it, but I don't put out there that for the last 5 years I've been a speaker for free, out of my goodness of my heart at DJ Lerma Head Start. So every month they do a meeting for parents. It's required. So I go do that monthly. Before the pandemic and after the pandemic, we do them via Zoom. I go and read to the kids at DJ Lerma. I volunteer at Constitutional Day Law every year, and I always pick Rivera High School, my alma mater, to go back to. I've gone and distributed sleeping bags to the homeless in our community. I volunteered, teamed up with my good friend Isel at the Vermilion, and we donated food at Carlota Petrina because we know that a lot of people were really, really struggling, even more so during this pandemic. So there's just so much that I try to do and give back to my community. Sometimes people post like, hey, someone can't pay their bill. I will privately message and say, how much is the electric bill that you're trying to pay? It's X amount. I'm like, okay, send it to me and I'll pay it. I know those struggles. So I don't need to publish that out there all the time. So like I said, sometimes I do. So now the problem is that we really focused this last round on my experience as an attorney, and the numbers came back that maybe a lot of people don't care about experience. And they started telling me, hey, you really need to put out there. We all know you're tough. We all know you're La Leona.
La Leona.
That's what they call me. We know you're tough in the courtroom. But we've also seen the soft side. We've seen you sit on the courtroom floor talking to kids when you're representing them in CPS court. We've seen you cry with the mom. Like, you have that soft side and you do a lot of community service. You need to show that now. And so I went back to see if I could find photos so that we can put out there on a flyer and things. And I'm like, God, I don't have anything. And I'm like, so now I was like, okay, so now I have to make it a point to get on campaign mode and get on your politician now. You're actually trying to put yourself out there for people to know you. And now I have to go do that and take pictures so that people can know what I do every day. So I want to continue that as a justice of the peace. You have a bigger platform. Right now, I would love to get invited, to come and speak to kids at the school and, anything that they do. And usually they reach out to people that are in office because that's how they know how to reach them. So I think that as a justice of the peace, everything that I've already done, aside from the legal work that you're going to do, the judicial work you're going to do in the courtroom, you can reach and do so much more for your community. And what better experience is that than be able to go to a classroom filled with little brown faces and that they see a strong Latina in a robe that grew up right where they were and says, I can do that too.
Yeah.
So I cannot wait to do that.
Well, we're excited. Now, one of the things that I think that we mentioned is we've got to get individuals out there to vote.
Yeah.
How do we continue to encourage people to come out and vote?
Guys, man, the numbers are so low. We have a huge community here, and the amount of people that are coming out to vote are very, very low. And you know what's really the hardest thing about it, guys? That yeah, we're primarily Democratic here in Cameron County, but if you're there, those numbers for the Republicans are growing. They are growing. And those people that were supporting Trump, they are ready. They got a fire lit. They realize that there's so many more Republicans out there and that, maybe that's the way to go. And usually I'm not a hard party line person. And I know that's hard to say here in Cameron County, but I really sometimes I don't vote party line. I really look at the qualifications and it's very important. But to me, our ideals as Democrats are, for the most part, very different from Republicans. So if we don't start uniting and we don't start voting, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. It does make a difference. And then that's why I think the problem is that people have not seen that change. But guys, change comes with time. Women did not get the right to vote till 101 years ago. And look how old our country is. Change comes with time. But if we just give up, nothing's going to change. Make this the year that change starts to happen. When you go vote, you better call everybody on your contacts list. How many Facebook friends do you have that live in Cameron County? How many people are on your contact list? Guarantee you over 100. So call them all, message them, share the post, share the information. If you already know me and you believe in me, why are you not sharing every post that I put out there? Why are you not texting all your friends and family? And if you are, thank you so much. But that's how you do it. And when you go vote, you take 2 people with you.
Always. Yeah.
Take at least 2 people with you and you encourage them to take 2 people and go so on and so forth. And vote early.
Always.
Early voting is key, guys. I cannot express that enough. You have 5 days to go to any location and vote. You wait for election day. Excuse my language. Well, no, I'll just say shit happens. It happens. The kids got sick. Your car didn't start.
Yeah.
Something. The weather got bad. Something. And at the end of the day, when your child is sick, voting's not going to be your priority. So vote early because that's when the elections are won.
Yeah. And let me say, Francisco, I'll answer this. I'm sorry, you're out there asking what has the individual done for the community. Let me tell you, Cindy has done nothing for the damn community. I mean, she's done for her little group, her little clique. And I'll say this, for a little group, her little clique. And that's the same crap that we need to get out of. We need to get out of voting and encourage individuals to go vote for the same crap that is not a part of the community, has not been active with our people. And let me tell you, the community is not made up of the St. Joe Mafia, the St. Joe folks. It's made up of Brownsville as a whole. And let me tell you, if you want to continue living in the rut that we're in, then go ahead and continue to vote for the corrupt political machine. We're still going to be a part of the community. We're still going to be active, but nothing changes if you keep on voting for the same crap. Nothing.
And I didn't even see the comments there, but just to answer what I've done for the community, I'm welcome to sit with you and tell you, but you obviously missed it. But you can go to Sharp Elementary and ask them how many uniforms I donated to the children there who can afford uniforms. You can talk to the principal because I donated over $500 of uniforms to those kids who can't afford them. How many books have I donated? How many projects have I started? I served with the Bronzeville Junior Service League for over 5 years. So I've done a lot. The fact that I don't post a picture about it every time that I do something may be very different. And this is why I kind of didn't want to do that now, because people might think, oh, now she's doing it because she's running.
Yeah.
But those that know me, know me. And so I've been doing it for a long, long time. And so I disagree with you, but I have done a lot for our community. And those that have experienced it know. And not only that, but I have the experience to run that courtroom.
Yeah,
And
not everybody like posts everything that they do on their private life. Unlike
Yeah.
other people, I'm not gonna say the name, Erasmo.
Well, but yeah, I post everything, good and bad.
Even the colonoscopy, for crying out loud.
Yeah, these are my results. Let me say, and there are a lot of people that are very, very good about going to vote on election day. Part of the problem why Liz is saying this, Mingo Pati, is because there are a lot of folks out there. I've received the messages like at 7:00, right when the polls close, and I go, "Donde voy a votar?" On election day, I'm going like, "Bitch, what do you mean?" I'm screaming, "Go vote!" And a lot of people son bien decidiosos. Somos mexicanos. El mexicano es decidioso. Mañana voy. Llega election day y no fueron. That's so true.
But if you're the kind, Miss Patty, that says, I'm going to go on election day and you're good about it, you've always gone, because there are some people and they just prefer it. It's their tradition and that's how they like doing it, and they will go and do it. Then hats off to you. But I think I'm referring to more like Erasmo says, like, oh, I'll go tomorrow, or I got busy, or they're like, hey, I'm going to go tomorrow. And I'm like, today's election day. There's no more tomorrow. You need to go today. And they're like, okay, I can just go to the library. No, now you got to go to your designated precinct. So then I have to go and say, okay, hold on. Let me find out where you're going to go vote and send you there. And then because sometimes you're used to voting somewhere and it's not your location anymore. They changed them. And so then some people, not you, but some people get frustrated and say, no, I'm going to forget it. I'm not going to go anymore. That's why I encourage early voting.
That's why they push the early election so I can go anywhere.
Yes. But for those of you that are like committed, you know what you're doing, you've done your research, you know where you're going, you're going to go on election day, there's no change in your mind. Go for it. Just go vote.
Yeah.
And take people with you.
I always want on that. And again, there's a lot of people that have that esa cultura, that culture, and that's great. But with that said, Mingo Pati, please still encourage everyone friends, family, to go out and vote. If it's not election day, encourage them during the weeks of early voting. Have them go out there and make sure that they vote. One of the things that is going to happen with this May election, the numbers are going to be low. So every single vote out there is going to count.
Yeah.
So please, I'll go to the moon if I have to.
I love it. Yes. See, she's dedicated.
And that's the kind of stuff that we need. But we need to get people out there to vote. And again, it's not a Republican thing. It's not a Democrat thing. It's a community thing. And we need to get candidates in there that are going to represent the community as a whole and not just a select little group out there. What are the most pressing issues in the community of Brownsville or the community in Cameron County that made you want to run?
Honestly, I just think that in this position, I feel it's very important to have someone with experience. And honestly, it wasn't on my priority. I think I've always thought that I'm going to run for something. And because of my qualifications, a lot of my colleagues thought it would be county court at law or a district judge. But I feel that was not the right time for me. And so being able to do a justice of the peace, I think is the right stepping stone to even hone more that experience that I already have to maybe get me prepared for what's next. I don't know what's next, but I think that we don't always want to put, what do they say, the
cart before the horse.
The cart before the horse. Yeah, I don't want to just jump into. I mean, I've had trials, I've done jury trials, I've done bench trials, I have trials in federal court. So I have had the experience, but I feel like, how am I going to just jump into a judicial position? Some people do, and they do great. I personally felt that I needed to have another basis of foundation. And so when Jonathan Gracia decided he wasn't going to run, not that I would not have ran if he didn't, if it was, I felt it was a time, but I thought it was a perfect opportunity that you didn't have an incumbent, that it would be a little bit more fair to put my name out there on the ballot. And, with the grace of God and a lot of hard work, we're in a runoff. And so some people's mind, I'm not going to change because you're going to support your friends, you're going to support your family no matter what. Right. So I get that. But if you are not fully committed yet, then please, all I say is do your research. And if experience is important, then you're going to vote for me. If community service is important, then I think that we both done a lot of community service. So I think at the end of the day, we want to better our community, but I think you have to remember this is a courtroom. And when you're going to come in here and maybe you won't, right? And so it's not important to you. But what if you one day have to go into the courtroom? Who do you want making that decision for you? Someone that's done it and knows what to do and do it right, or someone that's going to maybe wing it because they have no clue what's going on.
Yeah, 'cause
So
I know. Sorry to interrupt. I know one of the other cases that you guys take care of are truancy cases, and I know there has been quite a few cases of that because of the whole COVID thing. People not sending their kids because they were being told by certain talk show to send their kids. um, where is that heading? Because of the whole COVID thing.
with the truancy, you mean?
Yes, with truancy.
Okay. So yeah, so the Justice of the Peace Court also holds. They deal with the truancy cases. I am so blessed to work again in the legal community, and so now we have our juvenile court that was just established, and we have a new elected judge in that court. And I could have both of the wonderful women that were running were extremely qualified, and the one that won is Miss Adela Garza, and I've dealt with her many a times in the courtroom. And so she's a very, very strong advocate for children, as am I, as someone who has worked in CPS court for many years. So I think definitely when we have those truancy cases, it's not going to be black and white. And I think my point in dealing with children anytime, guys, you don't know the circumstances at home. We don't know what's going on. And I think one of the things that I have as an advocate for children, because I do a lot of work, not only CPS, but I get appointed by the judges to work as an advocate or an item representing the best interest of the child. I go to the homes, I talk to them. As a matter of fact, yesterday I left my office around 6:30 and I didn't go home. I had to go to a home and do an unannounced home visit. And so the circumstances that people are going through, we don't know. And so sometimes when the children are missing, you don't know if it's because there's domestic violence at home. You don't know what happened the night before. So it's not black and white. You really have to I know for the state and for school districts, it's about money. They're absent. They have to do that because they lose money when they don't go. But I think as someone that needs to make a decision on how we're going to look at those truancy cases, I want to know everything because I'm not going to punish a child for circumstances they cannot help. So to me, that's very important.
Okay. And then do you think you'll be able to work with hand in hand with Adela with all those truancy cases? Because you work in that juvenile court.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I already work with them. So having her, it would have been knowing me or whether it be Adela. I mean, I work really well with those women. We're a small legal community. I'm super excited for what that court's going to bring. I've worked with her on cases. Adela's very, very knowledgeable and really cares about children. So I know that we can work hand on hand with these cases. I have no doubt. I'm excited.
Well, I think we're excited too as a community because there has to be that constant open communication. And one of the things that Liz brings to the table is she speaks that language.
Mm-hmm.
It's an own language out there, and I think someone who speaks the language well and is out there in the community already fighting with and for the community, not against, with and for the community, can better educate a lot of the individuals who have a lot of issues in regards to not knowing exactly what a justice of the peace court does. Yeah. How are we going to further educate individuals on things like renters' rights and these things as a justice of the peace?
Was that a question or a statement?
How are we going to continue to educate people out there?
So like I said, I think that being the justice of the peace, actually being the public servant that the community elects, that gives you the platform to now do things, right? So anything that we can do to inform the community, because you're right. And I think if you got my mail out, the first thing that I did was talk about what a justice of the peace court does, because a lot of people don't know. They really don't. So I think, and for some people, it doesn't matter. If you tell someone, vote for so-and-so, vote for Liz, they're going to go vote for Liz, right? Vote for whoever, they're going to go for them because they trust you. And there are people that want to do their research. So the first thing that I started was, what does a justice of the peace court do? So education is key. And if I'm elected, that's something that we need to continue to do. Keep informing the public of what's going on. Keep open records of what's coming in, how the finances, where are they going? So whenever we're collecting for tickets, for Class C tickets, fines, can we do community service? Can we beautify our city? Can I make them go and do something at the schools? Can we do donations to a certain organization with those fines that we're picking up? So there's a lot that we can do to within the court to give back to our community, not only platform, but financially, and do something to make our city better. So I think that there's a lot that we can do, and I'm excited to get in there and work with whoever's willing to work with me, whether it's city, county, the courts, and do something great with this Justice of the Peace Court.
Well, we appreciate it. I know that you have work to do, and unlike a lot of us here.
I do. I have a client waiting for me. She's graciously waiting. So this was not expected, but I appreciate the invitation. It was fun. I'd be glad to come out and do it again. For all of you that said hello, I didn't realize that the comments were up there, because you don't know, and you can understand the insanity I'm looking at here. There's just so much technology going on. So say hi to everybody that said hi. If you have questions, find me at 866 La Leona or Elizabeth Garza Attorney. Follow our page. We're going to do a lot of promotions coming up, guys. So if you want to swing by 1105 East 6th Street, we have these sticker decals for your vehicles that you can put on. And we're going to have some promotions coming up that you're going to need that sticker for. But more important, it's about getting the word out. Get the word out. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your community, share the polls, and just tell people to go vote. And at the end of the day, honestly, just go vote. Do I want to win this election? Yes. Do I think I'm the best candidate? Yes. But I just want everybody to get involved with their community and vote, because it does matter and it does make a difference. So thank you guys so much for having me. Thank you, Erasmo, for the coffee and this cool cup. And I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Thank you, Judge. And best of luck.
He's like, the cup stays here.
I haven't finished my coffee.
Thank you for being
Thank
on,
you, guys.
Liz.
Thank you. Have
Appreciate
fun anytime. Maybe next time I'll brush my hair.
You look
Oh, yeah.
amazing.
I saw Carlos Casas on there the other day. He saw me, and I had my hair down, and he's like, oh, he's opposite. He always sees me like this in the court or bussing around, and he's like, I almost didn't recognize you. And I was like, he has the opposite effect, because he's always seen me with my bun.
Well, Carlos Cascos always wears his hair down.
No seas malo.
El poquito que le queda.
All right, guys, have fun. Thank you. Bye.
God bless.
What? Chuck my coffee.
Take the cup. I'll pick it up later.
Bueno, ya dijiste.
I'm sure people will be excited about seeing my face in your office. God bless. Guys, thank you, Liz Garza, for coming on, and thank stopping by. One of the things I think is important. Look, guys, y'all can go out there and want to Cindy. Again, nothing's going to change. You can continue to go out there and support the same individuals who have done nothing for you or for the community. Nothing will change. But you've got individuals that are willing to come on a live, on the fly, and take questions. And one of the things that candidates don't know is we don't know what type of questions we're going to get, because a lot of the questions come in from the people. And who do you want? You want someone who is willing and accessible to come out and take the hits.
Yeah,
that's the type of people we need in office. Yeah, we needed to get out of the same old rut, the same gente. We just got to. Sorry I was late to the program, but who is she? But thanks. Liz Garza is running for Justice of the Peace. She is in a runoff with Cindy Hinojosa. And again, nothing against Cindy.
How long has Cindy been there?
Well, she hasn't been there. She hasn't been a part of it.
Oh,
but,
she's barely running.
Yeah, she's running.
There's only 3, right?
Well, there's only 2. Remember, this is
no. As far as Justice of the Peace here in Cameron County,
I think there's many. Because there's Port Isabel, We've got
Okay.
here,
Well, I
and
guess the ones I always see is the one in downtown.
yeah, was it Levy? We've got Judge Linda Salazar, who's amazing, a friend of mine. We've got Judge Maria Sorolla. She just won her reelection. And again,
Gracia too, right?
huh?
Gracia's there too.
Jonathan
Jonathan?
Gracia is there. And again, that's the seat that Liz Garza is running for, the Jonathan Gracia seat that he abandoned or will abandon in order to run for state rep. Who Aaron Gomez won that
He's
seat.
gonna step off and they're running for.
Yes, for that seat.
Oh, okay, okay.
I never had an issue with, on a windy day. Peínate.
Hey, but you gotta admit it, man. Like if Mr. Cascos is well, in a way, he's kind of I don't know if he's endorsing her, but he's like kind of rooting for her in a way. Like I would go with that bet, because
Well,
he's very knowledgeable and he's very respectable in the city.
yeah, but you're 100% right. And one of the things, and I'm going to say this, one of the things that Judge Cascos made mention, and Judge Cascos made mention in regards to, look, you have to look at the qualifications of the candidate. I mean, and I'm not putting words in his mouth. It was one of the posts that he put up, and he got a little bit of flack for that from a lot of individuals, even in the party. And they said, "Well, what do you mean?" He said, "You've got to vote for the candidate, not necessarily just because they're part of that different party." And I can appreciate, and I mean, I'm the same thing. I'm running in the Republican Party, but I can appreciate this because it's going to be important because it affects our community as a whole. We've got 2 justices of the peace. We have to figure out which one is not my comadre, which one is the best qualified to go out there. Because let me say, they're not only going to, directly hear cases that involve me. I mean, she mentioned, you asked about the truancy. They're also going to have to be involved with a lot of the children out there. And there's if we're talking about candidates out there running for JP, Liz Garza is out there fighting and working with our small kids, even in CPS court. So she is well versed in regards to it. That's what we need. It's nothing personal against Cindy Hinojosa, because I mean, I can't say anything like, oh, me sacó la lengua or something. It's not personal. It's business, and people need to understand that it's business.
Like she's already knowledgeable and she's already in that realm of the law.
Yes,
like you had mentioned, and then she also mentioned that she does a lot of community service. And which I understand the whole fact of not posting everything, because that's what I do. I go to places and I'm not always like, oh, I'm over here in mi pueblito or
beer,
Noli's or whatever.
Because he's always drinking beer. That's right.
No, I never met her, but she gave me that sense of she's sensitive to your needs.
That vibe.
I mean, because she's a mom and everything. Like, like it makes me like when you step like I bet if she's a JP, I mean, you're gonna be like, okay, she's gonna be sensitive to whatever your case is gonna be. I have kids. One of my kids are gonna be in front of her court.
Yeah, you want someone that can relate.
Yeah, again, exactly. Yeah,
I stressed on Children's Hospital Committee. Hopefully, whoever wins actually does something about it. And let me say, I think that is a little bit outside their authority. But with that said, I agree with you, Paula. I want to fight for a children's hospital here in our community. I want every elected official to go out there and fight for a children's hospital. But and I mentioned children's hospital as indicative of everything else that we need. We also need border security. We need elected officials that are going to be out there and caring for the community. And I mentioned this.
Well, go ahead and finish.
It's like the other day we made mention, and I got a little bit of flack for it, and people said, like, when I mentioned Eddie Trevino. Look, guys, not personal. It's business. Do you want a candidate out there who during his term went out there and bitch and started to reclamarle a la gente when they were concerned about their welfare? He goes and he literally went out there and said, do you all want answers? You all want to continue to come here and bitch? He said that. He said that, Primo. He said that. And how can you tell constituents, how can you tell people out there that are struggling with a situation, y'all just are bitching? You're the servant. And people are saying, like, Erasmo, why would you bring that up? Well, because it's true.
Yeah, the public servant.
It's true, and people up there know. People up there are not going to vote for him, and I hope they don't. I mean, they can't vote for me because they're outside my district. But again, it's indicative of the character of a lot of these individuals that are in office. We need to wipe the slate clean. Fuera. All that little clique, all that little group. Sorry, Sam.
No, what I was asking is regarding the children's hospital. Are they asking for something like a Driscoll hospital, or is it just like a pediatric hospital or like an urgent center?
Well, I think our
Because we
community.
do have like a pediatric urgent center there on Frontage Road right before 802.
Yeah,
But it's not a Driscoll type of hospital where it's like you stay there.
I think what Paula is referring to, and again, I'm not trying to put words in Paula's mouth. I think what Paula is referring to is something that goes out there and attends the needs of our children here in the area. And I agree. And let me tell you, I was so excited when they were going to when the I was so excited when they said we're getting Driscoll, and I'm going like yes. And then when Driscoll became a flop, I'm going like, damn.
What happened?
Well, it's the politicos here. But let me say this: it's part of
the same thing that happened with DHR, didn't it?
It's the squirrel tactic, Sam. De repente they big up this big hype.
And that was because of the whole doctors association around here, ain't it? They were kind of like blocking it.
No, I don't think it was the doctor association. I think it was more just the local politicians that that promised a lot and actually didn't.
But we have to put a name to who's like blocking it, or who are the people who are blocking it. That way we can put them on blast. Be like, you know what, these are the people. That way, next time they come around, like when they're gonna run, like, hey, you know what, that's the person who didn't want a children's hospital.
Well, Sam, let me say, we have elected officials
because that would benefit like the whole from Harlingen down if there's a children's hospital here.
But we have elected officials. It's their responsibility to be fighting for this anyway.
Yeah,
and they're not.
But it's like you said, Primo, their priorities are mixed up.
Their
priorities are.
Yeah, but they're like donkeys. You got to be hitting it to move,
Sí, pero por eso. Pero
it's that way.
We shouldn't have to do that, and we talked about that. We shouldn't have to be. We shouldn't have to.
Okay, since they're not doing that, what are they doing? What are they working on right now?
That's what they're doing.
Putting lights in downtown.
They're putting murals downtown. Bettering the streets ahí in front of Dodichis. That's what our local politicians are doing. They're expanding the historical district to cover their businesses. That's what the politicians are doing. They're finding ways to put more.
Is there a project list anywhere of they're saying like, you know what, we're working on this? That way, it's like this is where we're at. This is their checklist.
Pero de qué sirve? I mean, the city did that. You saw the list of all the. This is what we're going to do. What have they done?
Yeah,
I mean,
but that list was like all over the place. It didn't have any numbers. It didn't have any priorities or dates. Or anything like
what about the audit for PUB? We're getting an audit. We're still waiting. But
they said it was mid-May for that.
Yeah, pero come May, ¿qué va a pasar? I can guarantee you we're gonna get nothing. Nothing. Because they've been promising an audit at PUB for 6 years, Sam. 6 years. 2 years, and I know this for a fact.
Hey, so do you think he'll be able to like come in the show?
Who?
The guy you like from the city commissioner? Cohen? Because he's the one that's in charge of that, ain't it?
He's handsome.
That's what I said, the guy you like. But isn't he the one in charge?
He's the most good looking, and no offense to Commissioner de los Santos. He's the most good looking commissioner out there. Está peloncito y todo, pero aunque ese peloncito me lo llevo, nothing against Judge Cascos, but yeah, I wish, because there's a lot of questions I have for Commissioner Cowan, and I'll ask him. What would be great? To have Commissioner Cowan and Commissioner de los Santos at the same time. If Commissioner de los Santos can get John Cowan out here on Monday, I won't be here on Monday. Y'all four can go out there and talk Brownsville politics. But there's a lot of other questions that I have for Commissioner Cowan in regards to the housing. Remember that they said that El Jardín was going to be fixed up and be the next housing project? Where are we on that? I'd like to know. And because he was part of the housing authority, I'd like to know, where are we on that? Let me get to the comments, Maggie. I will vote for the one who is willing to dismiss my jaywalking fines. No, as I have said, neither party has a monopoly on good governance or qualified candidates. 100%. Please keep in mind, it's people that serve and vote, not political parties. That's what. Again, I didn't want to put words in Judge Casco's Judge Casco's. Didn't want to put words in his mouth, something like that. But that's exactly right. I agree. The little time I listened to her, she really caught my attention. Good. Arena, vouchers, and raises. Oh my! And this is again 100%. Here it is.
And I was going to ask her about that, but I think it's a little bit out of her realm as far as the arena.
But look, what Judge Cascos is referring to is 100% correct. Sam, you mentioned this in regards to them bringing back the arena in May when they have control of the numbers. Let me tell you, if we don't get
who votes in May, for the love of God, as it is, nobody votes down here.
Not yet, but
nobody votes down here. But yet they complain. But God,
and folks, let me tell you, if you do not want to get screwed with an arena, you have to come out and vote in May. Have to. And every time there's an election, you have to come out, or else.
My question is, how many more donations has the county given since the last election? Because I know they gave $333,000 to the Boys and Girls Club of Los Fresnos. And now suddenly the mayor from Los Fresnos is like, oh, well, I can't comment on the whole arena anymore.
Well, of course
because it was given by the county judge, and the commissioner.
It's a quid pro quo. And again, nothing ever.
But I'm wondering how many more donations have they given around the county? That way they could get their votes and make sure they start moving for the county arena. Even though Mr. Judge Cascos has said it is not fiscally responsible. They haven't proven their numbers. It doesn't show it's going to be. They're not going to bring anybody. If Edinburgh or McAllen cannot bring 10,000 people.
It goes back to what we've said. I mean, honestly, Sam, how many elected officials have you heard come out and say, guys, wait a minute, we're upset. Let's use the voucher system. How many elected officials have actually come out publicly and said the way the county handled the voucher systems was wrong, detrimental to the most weakest amongst us? Consider this. They always affect the weakest amongst us, because while Joey Lopez and Judge Eddie Trevino were out there giving vouchers for vaccinations to their compadres, our elderly were waiting in line for 8 hours to get a shot.
Ridiculous, man.
And then had to wait another 8 hours to get the
literally staying there the night before, weren't they?
100%, Sam. That's what our elderly, our handicapped, our most vulnerable out there. They had to wait in line 8 hours for a voucher, then 8 hours for the shot. 8 hours. While Joey Lopez and Eddie Trevino were out there giving vouchers to the people that were going to attend Joey Lopez's daughter's wedding. That's pathetic. But people forget that, People don't forget. They screwed you. I mean, they were out there fighting for raises for the elected officials in the middle of a pandemic. When people were struggling to put food on their table, they were out there giving themselves raises.
Damn.
And then they expect us not to be upset? Shut up.
Oh, keep reminding people. Keep reminding people.
We've got to keep reminding people. Don't forget the vouchers. Don't forget the raises. Don't forget that they're going to screw us with this arena. There's so many dialysis centers for adults and zero for children, 100%. It's a lack of request from the leader to address the citizens in such a way. Huh?
There's no transparency. I think that's what it's trying to say, but there's no transparency as them trying to. And all they post are just people who are tagging their damn mural.
Do you go to the Mini-Culture District Mystery yesterday? No. I actually
talking about the whole cannery thing.
Yeah, I work, and let me tell you, I have to cut off at 10 o'clock because I got work to do. I do. And unfortunately, a lot of these people out there, and nothing against look, it's the mayor's job and it's the commissioner's job to be out there. Nothing against them. But, why can't they have functions outside the realm of work? People work. Why can't they have groundbreaking ceremonies, Sam, at 6:00 in the afternoon. It's beautiful, here in Brownsville, where more people can attend who have to work.
Yeah.
Erasmo for U.S. president, right? The elected officials are not doing their job. No, they have to be vocal because they have a platform. That's what Liz Garza said. I will use my platform to address all matters in the community. That's what we need. We need elected officials que tengan cajones to go out there and say, like the cajones that my cat is out there showing right now. The cajones. Aquí lo estoy viendo under the camera. The cajones.
They have a pair.
Have a pair like Bebe to go out there and say, what's right is right, what's wrong is wrong. PUB is wrong. I don't care if it falls outside your realm. Fight for it. Parents have to travel outside the realm just to get care. 100%, Paula.
She said, well, I mean,
As long as they give their statement.
That we're going to be the
All
issues. And do this,
Everything. We need a hospital
Transparency.
walking assistance to all needs of children here. Some of us have to travel to Driscoll and Corpus. Why? Brownsville is huge. It is. Cameron County is huge.
But they're so late in the game. They're so slow because they're bothering with their little.
But we have the facility, Sam. We have the facility. It says there, Driscoll Children's Hospital. We have nothing. Nothing. Where are elected officials fighting all together? I don't care if you're out a port commissioner that does nothing or a TSC board trustee member that does nothing. I want all of y'all to unite and fight to get us the resources that we should already have.
Remember when
That's what I had mentioned that last time, man, about making a list of priorities. That way you start pushing like that, maybe the top 10.
Remember when they start giving the shots for the kids?
Yeah.
And I went to my petition, and they say, "Oh, we can't give it a shot because the county put the order late." Well, I don't know what the heck they were thinking, but they did it in the last minute, and then we had to wait like 2-3 weeks so they can get their vaccine because they're like Sam said, they're so late.
It's so late. They don't have the numbers for the arena. Unfortunately, let me tell you, it's going to pass. And that's why they put it on this election, because they know that they could get their people out to vote. Can we get our people out to vote? That's the question. Why didn't they put it in November in the general election when more people come out to vote?
And people need to be aware that it was only like less than 100 or 200 votes.
75 votes.
You see, less than 100. So they're expecting like, oh, you know what? There could be like another mishap. People don't vote in May. So put it again. And this time probably will go through.
Yeah.
With no portable bathroom. Do you remember 8 hours in line for a voucher? No restrooms, no water stations. 8 hours, and then 8 hours again to get vaccinated, guys. And I'm saying 8 hours. It was a lot of people waited more time, Sam. You mentioned a lot of people spent the night out there. And it's true. While Eddie Trevino and Joey Lopez were giving vouchers to the elite, to the rich, to their politiquera churches. Primero para acá. And look, and again, Joey Lopez was worse. He was giving vouchers to the people that were going to attend his daughter's wedding. Screw those people. People from Mexico who came down. All those people got vouchers. And did they wait in line? Do you think, Sam, that Joey Lopez's family, Eddie Trevino's family, or the vouchers do you think they waited in line to get a shot? They didn't. They did not. They were at the front of the line. Screw your elderly, screw your handicap, screw your most vulnerable. They didn't care. Why are you bitching? That's what Eddie Trevino said. Why are you bitching?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nuts, man.
County Judge Award. In the middle of a pandemic, 25% raise, Sam. Who in the hell gets 25% raise, Sam? Again, I mean, teachers get a 1 or 2% raise, 3% raise, maybe, if they're lucky. City and county.
Y se lo da con una cara.
Bro, city and county employees, Sam. I talk to them every day. County employees, they get 3% raise in 10 years.
Damn.
In 10 years.
And this guy got 25%.
And the guy gives himself a 25% raise?
And then 18%. Damn.
It's Racket. It's a business.
No wonder you want to be a politician.
I would have given myself 50%.
Yeah, there you go, Sam.
No, but dude,
Might
it's
as well
because
do it, man.
that's besides like that's what they should know. Like, you know what, you're gonna get paid this much, and that's it, and that should be for the whole term. Now, if you're there several terms,
For
then
your
yeah,
whole
it's
family.
understandable that eventually make some changes.
But
But
we're making 100. Look, the judge makes what, 150, $175,000 a year. Isn't that enough?
That's more. Hey, that's
Yes.
out here in Brownsville, man.
Isn't that enough?
That's like 3 times their salary here.
Yes. And look at the market here. Isn't that enough? But why is it that everything gets expensive and they get raises?
and that's not including acá por bajo del agua.
No, what they skim off the damn contract. Let's go make signs and stand outside Driscoll Hospital demanding this. All politicians who care can show up.
Go stand outside their offices, not outside Driscoll.
Yeah, nobody's going to pass by there, Paula. Look, Paula, and I mentioned this to Liz, and I mentioned this to a lot of people. We've got to start to unite. We've got to start to fight together a little bit on the smarter side, guys. We've got to start doing it because they're screwing us over. They're screwing us over, and I have to leave. So last comments, and then I have to go, guys. Talk Show said already will also be addressing this arena issue again. Thank you. Awesome job. Why does the border towns pay rate of lower regional, but they want us to rent? It's crazy. And everything's so expensive. An arena? Just look at the sports park. Yes. Add to the clean and the restrooms and give it overhaul. It's good to go. Let me tell you, unfortunately, I mean, con lo poquito no eres fiel.
They haven't done anything to the sports bar. They haven't had anything.
Nothing. Con lo poquito, it's so small, and we still can't keep those restrooms clean. We don't really use it to its maximum potential, and we still have to pay millions of dollars for that piece of crap. No pun intended. Keep reaching Brownsville.
Whatever happened to Boys to Men?
I'm still waiting for them to come down. Guys, I got to go. Social distance, face covering, hand sanitizer tonight at 9 p.m. Be here or be a steer. Guys, be good to each other and continue to be good to me. God bless.
All right.
Have a good morning.
Great show.